This is a matchup for the ages. Body cuts a path straight to the paint, and she serves up a slam dunk. Oh, Body may have the win, but Frank really got the W on that play. That's gotta hurt.
I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Reaction Time. I'm Jacqueline Cordova and joined as always by my co-host Ben Visser. And you guys know the drill. This is presented by Fareway. Go get your groceries. It is beautiful outside. It's spring. I don't care what you tell me. It's spring. Go get your meats so you can get outside and start grilling. Ben, I hope you've gotten outside to enjoy the weather. I know you're a big nature guy.
Sure am. Yep. Took the dog on a good walk today, and it is absolutely grilling season. And all I hope for the rest of this spring, if it's spring, is that it's just nice on March 22nd, which is the day I'm getting married. So like, just stay this nice, or if it's not going to stay this nice, just have it be nice that day. So, yeah, I love this weather. I'm all about it. And I would love for it to continue like this.
Yeah, and we love Fareway. I went to Fareway recently to buy the ice cream you recommended.
Oh, the Tillamook stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I forgot to tell you guys that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, get to Fareway. Go buy groceries. But with spring around the corner, it just means that it's literally March in a few days.
Yep, a couple days away.
Crazy. It's basically wrestling Christmas. So Iowa State finished their dual season, I should say, by winning on the road. They took down Missouri 21-18, which we kind of expected, you know. Unfortunately, Missouri isn't quite as dominant as they were when they first entered the Big 12. And unfortunately, Keegan O'Toole wrestled his last match at, oh gosh, please forgive me, Missouri. I can't remember the name of their arena. But wrestled his last match at their arena since he is indeed graduating. Sad.
Yeah.
But regardless of his win, Iowa State took care of business. Looking at this match against Missouri, I would say Ethan Perriman and then Garrett Grice, who stepped in at 133, and Nate Schoen were probably my favorite parts of the duel.
Yeah, I think Garrett Grice obviously stands out in a big way. Kevin Dresser said in the post-match or post-dual meet conversation that it was Shane Sparks that Frost got a little bit dinged up against UNI. Just, you know, because we're so close to the season, sat him out, let Garrett Grice get some action. And he told Grice, I think on that Sunday, said, hey, you're going to be going, get ready. And boy, did he look ready. I mean, getting a pin against Cade Moore, who's an NCAA qualifier last year, a good wrestler, getting that pin. And he was dominating that match. That was not a lucky pin. That was not one where he just fell into it. It was like, no, he was enforcing his will onto Cade Moore. And that was a really impressive match from Garrett Grice. And when I saw him wrestle and I saw him win, I just thought back to the wrestle-offs, not this year, but last year, when he wrestled off against Evan Frost. Garrett Grice is the transfer from Nebraska. From Nebraska. And that was my expectation for who would be the guy at 133 for Iowa State going forward. And then when I saw Evan Frost beat him, I'm just like, how are you letting this unknown Frost guy beat you? Like, what are you doing? Is Iowa State wrestling in this bad a shape right now? I remember that being my first thought. And then Evan Frost has obviously turned himself into the number 3 wrestler currently in the nation and a legitimate national title contender. And Garrett Grice has proven to still be an actually pretty good wrestler. So I'm sure he could start on a lot of programs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it just speaks to the depth of Iowa State, but also that they stay ready when your time gets called. And like this season has been that entire story. When your name gets called, see what you can do.
Yeah.
And Garrett Grice went out there and pinned NCAA qualifiers. So really happy for him, just because he hasn't had a lot of mat time or a lot of reward for the effort that I'm sure he's put in. So that was a fun match.
Well, and I went back and looked. He did start against Stanford in the first duel of the season, and I believe he lost 9-3. So has to feel good to come back, get a shot again at the lineup. And since this duel was on UFC Fight Pass, they do a thing where they award a belt to who they felt was the most outstanding wrestler of the duel, and Garrett Grice was that guy. You can go find that post-match interview if you're curious, but obviously he was feeling himself, which he should.
As he should, exactly.
I mean, that was a crucial pin. When you look at a final score that's 21-18, it's those bonus points that clearly made the difference, right? So
those 3 points, those 3 extra points for a pin are the difference in the dual meet.
Especially because Iowa State gave up a pin at 165 and 174. So Garrett Grice basically showed up. So that was really exciting. Really great to see him do that. Ethan Perriman had probably one of the best matches we've seen him in. He did
for sure.
So great. I texted, I don't know if it was just Aiden, or I think it might have been our group chat.
Yeah, it was.
He sneaks in like those sneaky good wins where he just looks so good. And I think this one, Aiden said it himself in our group chat, like this might be the best match he's seen out of him. And I agree. It was a really good one. I have a soft spot for him now. So
no, it's always good when you can pick up a ranked win as a backup. So really good win from him. And then obviously Jacob Frost, that's another one that I think we need to highlight. Beat number 16, Josh Edmond, 9-8. And it's just such a typical Frost brother thing, right? Anthony Echemendia wrestled Josh Edmond last year, and it was a really close match. They both had some throws in there, and then Echemendia at the very end got that throw to seal the match, seal the win, and it was electric. So we know Josh Edmond is a very good wrestler. And then what do the Frost brothers do? Well, in this one particular case, Jacob Frost goes out there, gets a close 9-8 victory. And it's just like all the Frost brothers do is win. And I love them for it. It makes me very happy for them. We talked, it seems like we talk to one of the Frost brothers every single week. And they're not men of many words. They don't say a lot, but you can start to see their personality show up more and more in different things. And it makes you as a person happy to see their success.
Yeah, because it just sounds like, I mean, every single coach describes them the same way. They're just kind of kids who show up, they put their heads down, and they work really, really hard. And as we know, they do everything together. So they're consistently training together, running together, practicing. So it is good to see them get results. And I was thinking back to how we talked about Evan last year. And I remember heading into March, it was kind of the same thing. It was like, we hardly talked about Evan because he just was so consistently winning. It was like, oh, Evan Frost won again. Okay, moving on. Who stood out and won in a shocking way?
Yep.
And Evan's still doing it. And now Jacob's doing it, which is really exciting. And I'm very curious to see how they perform in March, just because of the type of run that Evan had last year. And now this year, he really controls his destiny there. And then you have Jacob, who's about to compete in his first one. So it's just crazy to think back to that media day when I asked everyone on the team, like, who's kind of flying under the radar? And everybody said Jacob and Evan. Everyone. Yep. Every single person, which is crazy.
Yep, coaches, athletes. I remember you asking David Carr that, and that was his exact answer. The Frost twins, the Frost brothers.
It's crazy. But other notables, Evan Bachman, he came in, he won 1-0.
Yep. What a thriller of a match.
Yeah. It was like one of those where I'm like, yeah, the big guys sometimes do this. But still a win. Still a ranked win, right? So
top 10 win. Won't say no to it.
For him. I will say Nate Schoen surprised me. He won 4-2, but it was like a really scrappy match. That's the type of matches I really like. I love when they are just really action-packed and there's a lot of scrambling and you kind of take turns getting the takedowns and you kind of don't have any idea who's going to win until the very end. And I feel like Nate Schoen, will do that when he finds a guy who's willing to do it back. So that was also one that I thought was pretty fun to watch. And then, of course, you have Panero Johnson came in, won 4-1, which was, again, solid work.
Yep. Very Panero Johnson score.
I will say, if you go back and you watch the post duel that Shane Sparks did with Dresser did specifically say that he has a team of young guys who maybe didn't do that great of preparing for this duel, which kind of leads me to wonder and just kind of like speculate, right? Like, what did preparation look like for Daniel Herrera, who lost a match we didn't think he was going to lose?
Yep.
Or what was Cody Chittum's week like, that he kind of surprised us and lost to James Conway, who's unranked?
Yep.
And as we went back and rewatched some of those highlights that were shared on Twitter just as we prepared, I mean, the score is a little deceiving, right? Like, it was pretty close, and then it just...
Yeah, he got taken down in the third period. And
yeah, just kind of got caught there.
Yep.
So I kind of walked out of the duel feeling positive about some guys, and then a little more worried, I think, in general terms of like my overall outlook heading into March. What would you?
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Yep, I think that's totally fair. I think you feel great about guys like Evan Frost. You probably feel really good about Panero Johnson. And then, we talked a lot about Cody Chittum last week and how he's a legitimate All-American type candidate and could potentially compete for a top 3 spot. Like, we talked a lot about that. And he goes and loses to an unranked guy. And it's like, okay, so how and why did that happen? Is this going to be something that we have to be concerned about going forward? Was this just a blip? Was he sick again? Because we know he was sick a couple weeks ago. So, like, did he get something else? Like, what actually happened there? So I think, like, yeah, you feel good about the guys that perform week in and week out. And then you have some question marks. Like, everything we hear about Cody Chittum is that he's a psycho in his preparation. So, like, I would be pretty surprised if he had poor preparation. But maybe he did. Maybe he got out of his very regimented routine a little bit somehow for some reason and let a few things slip. I don't know. But that's the Chittum result, I think, was by far, at least for me, the most disappointing one. Was like, buddy, you're better than that. And he knows it. I'm sure that Cody Chittum knows that he's better than that. So it's just one of those things where, all right, how consistent can we trust you to be in March? I think the Big 12 championships will be a very good litmus test for that, because this could screw up his seeding too. Like, he beat the best 2 guys in the Big 12 for seeding. He beat Ryder Downey from UNI. He beat, I think his name is Caden Fish from Oklahoma State. He beat both those guys. So he was on track to be the number 1 seed, like, almost without question. And then you lose to the unranked guy from Missouri. And then now you allow Doug Schwab. Now you allow David Taylor to go into those seeding meetings and argue that, no, he should not be number 1 because he lost to this unranked guy. Our guys didn't do that, whatever. And now that I say seeding meetings, those might not happen anymore. I think they have the media do seeding now, don't they?
Oh, gosh. I
feel like Dresser told us that a couple years ago, like last year or something.
He said they removed them so that smart people, I think he said Jason Bryant, could help do the work.
Yeah. So yes, Doug Schwab and David Taylor will not be arguing that, but it gives a guy like Jason Bryant pause, be like, okay, so why is Cody Chittum losing this match?
Right.
Because it is one of those things, like, when you get the number 1 seed, you have the easiest path. You just do. Like, I know you have to beat everyone anyway. I understand that. But boy, it's a lot easier when you don't have to beat all the best guys right away. Like, the difference between wrestling, and I mean, no offense to people from Air Force or Utah Valley, but when you have to wrestle guys from Air Force and Utah Valley first, instead of guys like from South Dakota State and UNI and Oklahoma State in the first few matches, your path is a lot easier and your life is a lot easier. It's 2 easy matches, 1 hard match instead of 3 hard matches. So it's one of those things where it's just a little bit disappointing, and he still might get the number 1 seed. That might happen. I don't know. but it is like, oh, Chittum, you were right there. You had this chance. And unfortunately, and maybe, who knows? Again, who knows what happens, but he had put himself in a great spot, and now it's a little bit up in the air of what his seeding will look like come the Big 12 tournament.
And it's kind of like you said, I feel like there's no way it was, he ate poorly. Oh, he didn't try as hard in his workouts. Maybe it was all mental. Maybe it was just something, I don't know. And this is all speculation. I mean, we haven't talked to the team. There's no media this week, which kind of looking at it is maybe a positive, right? We'll go into next week and we'll be able to hear from Dresser after they have a full week of training. So I am looking forward to the conversation once we get to be in there next week. But that Cody Chittum loss just left a sour taste in my mouth. It just kind of unfortunately deflated what positivity I felt I was expecting, or kind of starting to feel like, okay, no, they could go and have like a pretty good Big 12, right? Like some guys can really do some damage. And then I started to think, okay, who's going to be an All-American? Well, at the tournament, you can't just go and lose to
the
guys,
number 30 ranked guy.
Yeah, you just can't. And sure, you can fall to the back and wrestle your way and fight your way back up. But I don't know. I'm just a little worried.
No, make your life easier. I know wrestlers love hard things, but like, it's okay to make your life easier.
Yeah. Like, I think it's a great story, right? Like how we've covered it many times. The guys who fell to the back and had to wrestle their way back. I mean, we watched David Carr do it, right?
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
He was upset, and then he had to really fight for it in a way that he wasn't supposed to. You know, he wasn't supposed to go have all those matches because he was the favorite. And I love those stories because I'm all for the guys who came out on top after having to fight their way. But I just my mind when it came to Chittum was like, okay, he's going to go definitely All-American, no doubt about it. And now I don't feel as 100% confident about it. Yeah. And not because I don't think Cody's capable. I just feel like these blips could easily just destroy all the progress so quickly like we saw before. So it's a tough place to be.
Yeah, overall, wrestling's a hard sport.
Yeah, it's really, really
it's
hard
only you out there. And if you have a bad day,
hard.
It shows. So, yeah.
Well,
and like you said, he definitely has the potential and ability to be an All-American. I think that's still probably a fair expectation of him. I think that's a fair expectation. He's shown he can do it. All right, let's go do it. But it shows he's still human.
Yeah.
So
it just, when you think about the team as a whole, big picture, how are you feeling about March? I know we'll go in detail next week, but how are you feeling?
Yeah. Okay is probably the right term. I'm feeling like Iowa State, we've talked about this before, but 2-3 years ago, whenever that was, Iowa State was a dual meet team. And like David Carr was good, like really good, but like everyone else was sort of fringe All-American or like ranked in the mid-teens or high teens and things like that. And they won a lot of dual meets that way, but weren't a good tournament team. Then the last couple of years, they've obviously been a very good tournament team. I think this year kind of leans more toward that good tournament team, just because you do have guys where if they have really good weekends, can put Iowa State with a lot of team points. So guys like the Frost brothers, I think both of those guys have a chance at All-American. I think Evan's essentially a lock for All-American, assuming injuries. And Jacob has a very clear path to be an All-American. Panero Johnson could be an All-American. Cody Chittum can be an All-American. Evan Bachman with a good weekend can be an All-American. So you have these guys. You have, 4 guys who could be All-Americans. That's going to get you a lot of team points in a tournament, whether it's the Big 12s or NCAAs. So in that regard, I feel really good about it, just because there is that potential. The problem is it's just potential. We've seen Evan Bachman win 1-0 matches, right? Like this last weekend. And again, it's against a top 10 guy, so I get it. But like, oh man, you can't rely on that. That's not reliable. That's scary. We saw Cody Chittum lose recently. We saw Jacob Frost lose not this week, but last week. So These guys are vulnerable. It's not a team full of David Carrs and younger Bastidas right now, and Anthony Echemendias and Casey Swiderskis. It's not a team full of that. It's a team full of guys who we've seen really strong glimpses from, but haven't necessarily seen them put it together for an entire postseason. So that's a little bit where the hesitation comes in. It's like, okay, so we see this All-American potential. We see this opportunity to wrestle for Big 12 championship. Like, I think each one of those guys could realistically probably wrestle for a Big 12 championship. Whether or not they win, I don't know. But, like, they could get there. But can they? And will they? And that's when it gets really like, oh, boy, I don't know. And then you throw in guys like Kyson Terrakina, who we've seen, I think, once this year, right?
Mm-hmm. I can't even remember. It's been
and
so
like
long.
He's dealt with all of the injuries. I think he had a concussion at one point this year. He's had a neck injury. He currently has a knee injury. Like, all of the things for Kyson have gone wrong. And everything the coaching staff has said, including Dresser, has been like, this is the most well-prepared Kyson has ever been. We usually have to get on him about all these details and all the things. We have to do that once this year. So I really want to see what Kyson can do, because we've said in years past, this is a guy who can be an All-American. Like, he has that ability in him. He's beaten guys who are All-Americans. So what does it look like when he has his stuff together? And I just hope his injuries don't hold him back. And they might, I don't know. But every indication Dresser has given us has said that Kyson will be the guy who wrestles in March. So that, I think, is one of my most intriguing things is, okay, what does that look like? And then, you throw a guy like Daniel Herrera in there, true freshman heavyweight, did not expect to see the mat this season, has had really good moments beating ranked guys, top 20 guys, and then has had weeks like this last one where you lose to an unranked guy, and it's like, okay, so which Daniel Herrera are you going to get? To me, from what I've seen so far, he seems like a guy who's willing to rise to the occasion. And so what's that look like in a tournament setting? So that's going to be a really fun thing for me to watch too.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Jacob Frost and Daniel Herrera and, Nate Schoen. Like, how these guys handle the tournament. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I went and competed at the Cliff Keen. And it's another to feel nationals. Yep. So it is going to be interesting just to see how they respond. More so, I think Daniel Herrera will be a really fun one to see. Okay, how does he respond in this environment? I just looked it up and you're going to laugh. So according to the duel by duel lineup of the season, Terrakina wrestled against Lock Haven, North Carolina, West Virginia, Ryder, and Bucknell. So he wrestled, that would have been in December, right? Those were the tournaments. So, yeah, we haven't actually seen him.
Nope.
Like in a true duel. So,
yeah.
Is Kyson Terrakina as close to 100% physically and ready to wrestle free? Because this is it. This is his last ride. Or does he, I don't know. I don't know if crack under the pressure is the word, because I don't think that applies to him anymore. Or does he just fall short, Yeah. No, I think you hit it. It's going to be interesting to see how Kyson gets back in there. Because, you're going from only competing at the collegiate duels, basically. And, gosh, what was the other one?
I think you said West Virginia. Yeah.
And then now you're getting thrown in the dog pit.
Yep.
Like head first.
Yep. All right. Good luck, buddy. And then there he goes.
And what about MJ Gaitan? How does he do? Where's his head at? Because he has all the physical tools, I think. Mm-hmm.
But he's had, I'm glad you brought MJ up, because I was just thinking about that too. It's like, oh, I forgot about MJ. Yeah, that's another one where we saw him have a really good March last year. He was a match away from being an All-American. Mm-hmm. Started off this year at 165. That didn't go well. They bump him back up to 174, and it's been mixed results. And we haven't had him have the marquee wins that he had last year at 174 yet. So I don't know if it's a sophomore slump. I don't know if guys are preparing for him differently this year. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh wait, he just wants to pin people. He's just going for headlocks and doing things like that. Or is it one of those things where he just doesn't have the confidence right now, or he's still trying to get his weight under control at 174 now that he's bumped up, put on that good weight. So I'm going to be really interested to see his March too, because you've seen him do it. We have seen him be very good in March. Mm-hmm. So I hope that translates into a sophomore year, even if he hasn't had the season that we kind of expected from him. Like coming into this year, I'm just like, oh, MJ Gaitan, All-American contender, top 10 guy for sure. Let's see how high he can go this year. And then right now it's like, I hope you can win a few matches.
Yeah, like please. Yeah, it's so many big questions, right? And like I said, we will definitely deep dive into all of this. I would be curious to know what people would like to see it from us covering this, just because we're not, last year we had so many dominant guys going into this. Like there were several guys up and down, more than 6, 8 guys that we were like, yeah, they could wrestle for a Big 12 title.
Yeah, and they did. A bunch of them did.
So this year we're taking a few steps back, and no one's as frustrated as probably Kevin Dresser. So, but they did put out rankings, which I think it's important to just look at those as we start to look ahead to nationals, as we start to try and guess right where seeding's going to be. Then we got to worry about allocations, and Kyson Terrakina is officially in there. He's 12.
But he will not earn an automatic qualifying spot.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to steal someone else's spot, which he can. He has that ability. But it's important to note that he has not wrestled enough matches to qualify for a spot.
And then you have Evan Frost, who's number 3.
Yep. He has. And
that's his spot. He's earned it.
Yep.
So, gosh, I don't have my glasses on today. Yeah. Jacob is at number 9. And these are all flow rankings, I should clarify. Intermat also is included in that if you want to look at the graphic, if you're listening to this on just your normal podcast feed. But Jacob is at 9, Paneer Johnson's at 9, Cody Chittum's 10, MJ Gaitan's at 26, Evan Bachman 13, and Daniel Herrera 21.
Yep.
So take those with a grain of salt, I guess, because we'll just have to see how they compete, I guess. So
see who gets qualifying spots, see who has to steal a few spots, because I don't know that MJ has wrestled enough matches at 174 to be able to earn an allocation. But he started off the year 165, so that's going to be interesting to see. Panero at 149, did he wrestle in enough matches? So, this will be, it'll be an interesting week when we find out what allocations are and what Iowa State wrestlers need to do to qualify for NCAAs.
Yeah, which I think that's a great point. Things that maybe not everyone understands, something we can bring up. I think we still got your handy NCAA breakdown you wrote 2 years ago, I think it was. We can go dust that off, bring it back. Before I
need to dust that off every now and again too, just to remind myself, that's what that is.
Maybe you should go reread that and double check if we need to make any updates. But Iowa State future Cyclones. The state tournament was last week, and man, people were angry about Jacob Helgeson celebrating that 175-pound state championship, his third one. And then you got Christian Castillo, who won his at 126. I'm telling you guys, I don't have my glasses on. Carter Pearson, state runner-up at 132 pounds, and it's because TJ, I don't know how to pronounce TJ's last name, so Aiden's probably laughing at me in the background. Is it Coaster?
I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Koester is how it's spelled.
I'd say Coaster.
That's what I'm saying.
Custer. There's no U in there.
I knew a Custer, Koester.
Okay, interesting.
So
crazy.
Maybe it's not, but
someone will let us know. So that was your 132-pound champion.
So Iowa State lost to Iowa State, which is why the Iowa State guy was the runner-up.
Which sucks. But you know what? Great turnout for the future Cyclones. I know people are very excited about Christian Castillo, especially. And I'm telling you, people were so mad at Jacob Helgeson.
Oh, I know. I saw it.
Hey, we're not even going to get into it because we're just going to cut it short here. But the future is bright for the Cyclones. And Kevin Dresser was there. Him, Coach Schwab, and Coach Brands did what was it, like the Grand March?
The Grand March, they were walking in, and you could see Doug Schwab and Tom Brands share a few words. Who knows what that entailed, but those two obviously have a history.
Alice had made a joke that Doug and Tom were racing to see who could power walk the fastest. And I could just see, like, we're making it up, right? Like, who knows what they were talking about? But I could see it, like, Dresser did not look like he needed to be power walking. Like, he very much was probably like, you guys can have fun.
You guys do what you need to do. I'll be back here.
I should have made Aiden cue up that picture of Dresser with his readers. He had him sitting right on his eyebrows.
Yep.
He must have been reading something and then pulled him up for whatever conversation he was in. Yeah. So fun to see him back there. I figure they took the jet or something, because how did he get back so fast?
Drove through the night.
No, they wrestled that day.
Oh, you're right.
So
yeah, he would have had to fly.
Yeah, someone like pointed out that he looked tired. Yeah, he's been coaching all day. But as we always say, like I said in the beginning, this is Wrestling Christmas. It's about to get really fun. Ben and I will nerd out regardless of what team is headed into March. We'll have plenty of stuff to go over and explain. And I mean, if anyone has something specific they'd like us to talk about, definitely let us know. We're open to feedback always.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I'm excited. It's the fun part of the season. Just, of course, would prefer to have the dominant, strong Iowa State we had last year heading into this time. But we'll be back. We'll be back next week. We'll talk to the team and we'll hit the ground running to Tulsa. So, as always, guys, thanks for listening.